Hello there, my name is Paul. I'm also called Knickknack. I'm the brains behind Knickknack's Daily Teaser, which is possibly the world's most incredibly repetitive blog. I'm staring at the light. It's so beautiful. I'm also somebody who does daily teaser quizzes. Please ignore the comment about the lights. That was me having a moment. I also talk about TV shows I've watched, and I'm going to try and catch Doctor Who and Star Trek at some point in the not too distant future. So please feel free to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, because you will see those reviews and the daily teasers go past as and when I release them. While you're doing it, don't stare at the light. On a more serious note, I saw a movie on Sunday night, literally 3 days ago now, and I wanted to tell you about it, but it's taken me a while to write the script. At any rate, I saw The Flash with Ezra Miller and Michael Keaton and Sasha Callier, and I wanted to tell you about it. The Flash opens by showing us Barry Allen, Ezra Miller, queuing up at his local sandwich shop so he can get breakfast on the way to work. He's impatient, which is a feeling not helped by the rather talkative barista serving him, nor by the sudden call he gets from Bruce Wayne's butler Alfred, played by Jeremy Irons. Alfred is passing on a message from the boss. The Batman, Ben Affleck, wants the Flash to rescue patients from a collapsing hospital, whilst the Bat himself stops some dastardly thieves getting away with some dangerous chemicals. The aging hero ends up catching the thieves with the help of both Barry the Flash Allen and Wonder Woman Gal Gadot. Things get worse though for Barry when he gets to work. His boss, David, Sanjeev Bhaskar, isn't happy Barry's late again. His friends Patty and Albert, Saoirse Monica Jackson and Rudy Mancuso are giving him aggravation, and to top it all off, his high school crush, Iris, Kiersey Clemens, is now a journalist asking awkward questions of Barry's employers, and when she realises Barry works there, or asks awkward questions of him, including how he felt about his father's upcoming appeal for the murder of his mother. Do you get the impression Barry
is having a bad day?
Now, what did I make of The Flash? Do I think it's good, bad, indifferent, dribbling quotes? What do I think here? Do I think there's possibly problems? I don't know for sure, but I think that there is an elephant in the room that we need to get out of the way. Let's talk about Ezra Miller, shall we? The leading man and main character in this film. I am very aware that Ezra is one of a handful of people, or at least a handful of people that have come to my attention, to have changed their pronouns. In Ezra's case, from he, him to they, them. Now that is, I will admit it, that always sounds bloody strange to me, unsurprisingly, I think. I grew up in a town that is, for a Western European small town, fairly socially conservative. Brentwood is not going to have a pride parade going up and down Brentwood High Street, at least not for a long time. It's not that sort of town. It would get an argument. But I always try and make sure I use someone's preferred current pronouns. It strikes me as polite, if nothing else. But the practice is still one I'm getting used to. But, and I should stress this here, again, it's new to me, it's strange to me, but I try and be polite. But most of the very few people I know who have done this have usually done so quite quietly, and have usually announced it through various social media profile changes, and usually seem quite sane. That's possibly not the best way of putting it, though, is it? Let me say instead that those who have made the announcement and kept to it, Eddie, Susie, Izzard springs to mind here, have always appeared to be in good mental health, or at least they seem extremely rational, even though I know for a lot of people in those shoes, there's a lot going on that we don't see. They present well, despite that. They present well. Ezra Miller, though, excuse me a minute. Ezra Miller, from the little I know of them, I am very aware they've had quite a lot of legal issues over the past few years. Quite a few cases of harassment documented by all sorts of news sites. I've got a link to the documentation done by Rolling Stone, for example, over on the written blog version of this video. So from where I'm sitting, and I'm no mental health expert here, I'm no legal expert, the person that sounds unwell and potentially dangerous. So I'm wondering if that very small thing, that pronoun change, is a result of a rational considered decision or a symptom, however minor, of something far more serious. Ezra has stated they're seeking mental health help. I can't help but think that that's all to the good, but I can't tell you if their bad behaviour is a symptom of bad mental health or their bad mental health is a symptom of bad behaviour. I don't know what's going on there. And either way, all I can tell you for sure is that they are having issues and that those issues don't reflect seemingly on their performance in The Flash. In playing 3 different distinct versions of the same character, they're doing a good job. But I don't know what will happen with other DC movies if Miller has to be hospitalised or go into short-term rehab, or, on a more serious note, end up getting jailed for a given length of time. They've done a good job, and good enough, I would say, to keep them in the role, but their circumstances will impact future movies that feature their character as well as they themselves. There's going to be stuff going on there, I think. Let's move on to lighter areas, shall we? What did I think of the film? What did I think of the story and the rest of the characters? The story itself is kind of familiar territory. In part, it's a story of the hero going back in time to do some good and getting it wrong, combined with a straight-ish retelling of 2013's Man of Steel, the doomed Superman replaced by Miller's The Flash, Michael Keaton's The Batman, and Sasha Calle's androgynous take on Supergirl. There's probably more there. Effectively, it is retelling the story of Zod's invasion of Earth with different players. And although we can argue this is retreading old ground, the film tries to keep the Zod story to a minimum, focusing instead on Alan's relationship with both his Batman, Ben Affleck, and with his new Batman, Michael Keaton, and on his attempts to prevent his mother's death and his father's imprisonment. All of this whilst introducing us to a new version of Supergirl, played by Sasha Calle. I hope I've got that right, Miss Calle. If I've not, please feel free to accept my apologies. A couple of thoughts there, a couple of points to cover. The minor one, and it really is minor, is simply that Sasha Calle is quite a good-looking young woman, although obviously that's not the reason the filmmakers hired her. No, she's built up a lot of awards in her soap career, so she seems a competent, capable actress, and young, healthy, and capable enough of doing quite a lot of the wire work needed to make Supergirl look like she's flying. She's also very striking, and I don't want to go on about this because it makes me look slightly odd, but she's very striking looking as Kara Zor-El, Supergirl, to use her earthly name. She looks nothing like the traditional depictions of the Supergirl character. Short black hair rather than the usual long blonde lot. She's got an all-in-one super suit, trouser suit type thing, rather than the more traditional girly super cheerleader outfit. She gives us an altogether more androgynous look for this particular version of the character. And given that in the alternative DC universe that this film is set in, given that Superman doesn't exist, he didn't make it to Earth, I'm wondering if Kara Zor-El, stroke Supergirl. I'm wondering if she's this film's version of Superman rather than its version of Supergirl. We could possibly speculate for hours there, I think. Either way, her version of the character is something I would like to see more of. If that makes me a pervy old man, so be it. But she came across as a fascinating version of the character. Just as an extra insert here, it has literally just occurred to me that most versions of Supergirl, blonde, cheerleader outfit type uniform, strike me as sort of parallel to Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Blonde, superpowers, cheerleader, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But it strikes me, possibly having seen this version of Supergirl, that she's more like a female version of Kai in Lex. Am I right? I don't know. You tell me. Right, that's that bit covered. I'm going to assume you want to hear the last few final points if you've got this far into the video. This is a minor point here. One word that Barry uses to describe most of the superheroes in the DC Extended Universe is metahumans. It's the DC Universe's equivalent to Marvel's mutants, and it's one I'm actually familiar with. I first came across it in FASA's Shadowrun game. It's their generic term for elves and orcs and trolls and dwarves in their cyberpunk sci-fi background world. And apparently it was first coined by George R.R. Martin, of Game of Thrones fame, for a role-playing game he worked on many moons ago. I mention it partly to tell you where I first came across the term, partly to show off. I'm on a YouTube channel. Who doesn't show off on their YouTube channel? But it's also mostly to tell you that it's a word that's been around for quite some time. It's been floating around. It's been seen to describe those who are beyond human for a good 20 or 30 years now, I guess. As another personal point, it's actually nice for me personally to see Michael Keaton back as Batman, even if it is seemingly just for this one movie. We mentioned retreads earlier, and granted that is what this could be seen as. But for me personally, it's nice to see my generation's big screen Batman donning a cape again, even if he is retreading some lines and not using the car. Yes, that car, his version of the Batmobile, gets a look in this film. It doesn't get used though, and I suspect that may be because of Michael Keaton's ears. According to at least one piece I read on his second Batman movie, he insisted on the costume being redesigned slightly to make the ears shorter so that his ears and his head wouldn't get caught in the door of the Batmobile whenever he got in and closed the door. Apparently, it would catch the ears. What do I tell you? Ears aside, and this is the important point, it's a welcome return. At least I thought. As a last, possibly minor point, we're shown, or we see that at the start of the film, we're shown Ben Affleck's Batman preventing the theft of some industrial chemicals. And later in the film, we're shown Barry, the young Barry, showing the older Barry, our Barry, a certain very well-known laughing bag. I've got a feeling that they're trying to give us a little foreshadowing there, that the DCEU's best-known chemist could well turn up again at some point. At any rate, that's not necessarily all the stuff you want to hear. You want to hear me tell you if The Flash was a good film. And I have to admit, I don't know. But it's entertaining, it's watchable, it's, given its 144-minute length, it is also very well paced. It's a nice little action-adventure film, and while it's possibly not perfect, it's beautifully done. Go check it out, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you next time at the movies. Take care, have fun, be good, and to quote Patrick McGowan, be seeing you.